Welcome to the 9th episode of Strange Silver Age. You can call me Cassie Rose, and I'm your host and guide through the bizarre world of Silver Age DC Comics. I guess I should explain what Silver Age means for those of you that might not know. The Silver Age covers the period of comics released from 1956 to 1970, and it's pretty well known for having some out there stories. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if they were smoking something in the writer's room. Today, we're covering Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, issue number 98, released in 1966. Specifically, I'll be focusing on the cover story, The Bride of Jungle Jimmy. Without further ado, let's dive in. Give me a second. Let me just... This is probably one of the most ridiculous covers yet. I love it! Jimmy Olsen is wearing a leopard skin pelt as he reluctantly places a ring on the finger of a gorilla wearing a wedding veil. Lucy Lane, Jimmy's girlfriend, looks at the monkey marriage in horror. Superman is mixing something in a cauldron while he's wearing quite possibly one of the dumbest hats I have ever seen. There's a yellow owl mask resting on Superman's forehead with a long orange feathers sticking out of the top of it, and that's attached to a giant white puffball on his head with grass trailing out from the bottom of it. Superman, this joke has gone far enough. I don't want to marry a female King Kong. Sorry, Jimmy, but as local witch doctor, I now pronounce you man and wife. Come on, Superman, you've totally missed the opportunity to say, I now pronounce you man and monkey. That aside, are we sure we can really call Jimmy Superman's pal? Friends don't force friends to marry gorillas. In the teaser page, Jimmy is being held in one of the gorilla's arms, as she's holding a banana with her other hand. They're both outside of their cliffside cave home, and Superman is flying over to pay a visit to the newlyweds. Hi, Jimmy. Just dropped in to see how you and the little woman are getting along. Superman, you're responsible for my marrying this gorilla. Get me out of this love nest before I go ape. It really seems like Superman is just visiting to rub it in that he forced Jimmy to marry a monkey. Here's the narration box. Have you ever dreamed of going native? Ever imagined yourself in a leopard skin, swinging from tree to tree, a lord of the jungle? Well, that's what happens to Jimmy Olsen. And what's more, our rugged reporter even gets to marry a jungle goddess. Is she a beautiful brunette? A ravishing redhead? A blonde bombshell? You'll swoon when you meet the Bride of Jungle Jimmy. I have 2 things to say to that narration box. 1, why are you acting as though Jimmy's bride is a mystery when it's clearly the gorilla? And 2, why are you so sure that we'll all swoon at a monkey? Well, let's see how Jimmy got himself into this situation. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are in the African jungles as a work assignment from the Daily Planet. They're supposed to get photos and write eyewitness accounts of the on-location filming of an adventure movie in the jungle. The movie's director, in return for the natives allowing him to film on their land and acting as extras in the movie, is paying the natives in jewels and free showings of jungle movies, which already makes him more ethical than most Hollywood directors. Jimmy brags about playing a small part in the movie Sinister Safari with Superman, and the director immediately tells him that Sinister Safari is crap. Jimmy sees the natives bowing down to a gorilla. Her name is Bruna, and the natives see her as a sacred ape goddess. Jimmy, in full insensitive tourist mode, laughs at the natives and calls them idiots for worshipping a gorilla. Jimmy rightfully gets called out for being rude here, with one of the natives warning him that it's unlucky to laugh at the gorilla goddess. While Jimmy is busy being a tool to the locals, Bruna the gorilla is enthralled by a showing of the movie King Kong, and Clark speculates that she may have dreams of becoming a movie star. The next day, Jimmy demands a small role in the director's movie. Jeez, you can't take this guy anywhere. Shockingly, the director hires him on the spot. A member of the lighting crew highly questions the director's decision. You and me both, buddy. Saying that Jimmy Olsen could set the movie industry back 20 years. The director explains that he knows Jimmy can't act, and he's only casting Jimmy to draw in members of the Jimmy Olsen fan clubs. Jimmy is offended by the director and crew thinking he can't act his way out of a paper bag, so he decides that he'll prove himself as an actor. Clark warns Jimmy Olsen to keep his ego in check, since Jimmy is here as a reporter and not a movie star. But of course Jimmy doesn't listen, putting on a leopard pelt and building a treehouse for himself to prove that he'd be a great actor for a jungle hero. Jimmy tries climbing a tree, but the branch he's on snaps, and he falls into a pool of water with quicksand hidden underneath. Jimmy is trapped underwater and uses his special watch to signal Superman for help. You know, I think the reason Jimmy has a watch with a Superman hotline is because Superman knows how often this idiot nearly gets himself killed. Jimmy's in life-threatening danger again? Must be Tuesday. However, Superman isn't the one that saves Jimmy's life this time. It's Bruna the gorilla that lifts Jimmy out of the water. It's love at first sight for Bruna, who's inspired by King Kong to find a human date of her own. She grabs Jimmy, taking him away to her home on the cliff. Bruna tries to win Jimmy's love with a bouquet of bananas, but he isn't impressed and escapes her home with some nearby vines. But Jimmy isn't out of this mess yet. The jungle natives stop Jimmy in his tracks. They fear that the sacred gorilla will be angry that her mate ran away. So they hold Jimmy hostage until Bruna arrives to snuggle him. Then Superman swoops in to take away Jimmy's unwanted admirer, and the natives are amazed by Superman's powers, declaring that he must be the greatest witch doctor in the jungle. The natives warn Superman that Bruna's anger is some serious bad news, and they're right. She's so mad about losing Jimmy that she throws a tantrum in the middle of an intersection, creating a nightmare of a traffic jam. Jimmy begs Superman to get rid of Bruna, but Superman says he can't disrespect the natives by doing that. There's only one way out of this. Monkey marriage! Yep, this is what we've all been waiting for. Superman forcing Jimmy Olsen to marry a gorilla! To make things even more awkward, Jimmy's girlfriend, Lucy Lane, shows up to surprise him. She's understandably heartbroken that she's losing her man to a monkey, and she cries as she makes Bruna a wedding veil. Then Superman, in full witch doctor getup, officiates the wedding between Jimmy and Bruna. You can tell from the smile on Superman's face that he finds this hilarious. And to top it all off, the movie director is filming the wedding as Jimmy's part in his movie. Pure gold. Immediately after Jimmy's marriage to Bruna, Jimmy decides he desperately wants a divorce, lamenting that all of this started because Bruna was inspired by watching King Kong. Suddenly, Jimmy gets an idea. For their honeymoon, he shows Bruna the movie Sinister Safari. In the movie, a gorilla tosses Jimmy off of a cliff, which gives Bruna some second thoughts on her marriage. Bruna imitates the movie, throwing Jimmy off a cliff as well. But Superman catches him, so ending the marriage doesn't also end Jimmy's life. The planned divorce was a success, and it's a happy ending for Jimmy, getting back with his girlfriend and not being married to a monkey. Oh, this was so much fun to read. Hopefully, Jimmy learned a lesson about keeping his ego in check. Him being married to a monkey for a short time was well-deserved and wonderfully goofy. Thank you for joining me for the 9th episode of Strange Silver Age. Once again, I'm Cassie Rose, signing off for now. I've got some crime to fight, and I'll see you later.